Through.
Thank you.
Swirl like this, and he wriggled his way down. The rope didn't quite make it. He was sort of dangling about halfway between us and the ceiling, and his head torch, imagine it being pitch black in here and having no fancy lights, he pretty much found this and then, oh, that's something big, you know? Had no idea all of that was still behind him. Okay? So huge fun. It took me about a year to get a team together, a proper team to come down and actually explore the whole cave. And then 1957 on Boxing Day, 1959, sorry, 2 years later on Boxing Day, we were open for tours. So they put the stairways in over 12 months and they're ready to go. So it's a very quick process for when they first discovered the cave. Now, if everyone wants to go take a look over the edge there, I'm going to point out a couple of things. Now, the ones that come down from the ceiling, all of these dripping down, some of you might know what they are. We call them stalactites. And essentially what's happening in these cave systems is you've got rainfall landing on the very top level above us and filtering through this limestone. Each time it comes down through the limestone, it creates and forms part of these stalactites. So the droplet comes through and it deposits calcite. Okay? A lot of the stalactites like this begin as a super thin one like that at the end, which is known as a straw. Straws are hollow in the center like an actual straw is. And the droplet of water comes through the center, each drip to the ground deposits calcite carbonate. So that's how they're forming. That straw that you can see, that really long one, is the longest straw you'll see in any cave system of about 5.4 meters. So it's pretty impressive. It takes about 1 centimeter every 100 years of growth. Yeah, so you can just appreciate how old everything in here is, right? Now the ones that are coming from the ground up, we call those stalagmites. You'll see plenty of them around. These are quite large ones. And they've just been coming off those drips at the ceiling as well. They start to grow up. So stalactites hang tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites might touch the ceiling. That's the best way to remember it. Sometimes they can join together. So if this were still dripping away, and that would become what we call a very large column. So that's some of the formations you'll see going through today. But we're going to start to head down to the next platform and talk a little bit more about those formations as we go down. So if someone would like to lead the way, head down the stairs, turn left, and you'll see the large platform there at the middle that we'll meet up on. Yeah. Pretty cool, I haven't seen that guy. Great man. So between here and the ground is 12 meters. I'm not here of a big spiral.
Not knowing what you're going to see.
To the right, not knowing
Kept going. Right, very brave, yeah. Bit sketchy. Must have had good mates though, to crush it in that one. We'll take up the back. She'll be slow. Yeah, I've got 27 plus 1 and we are heading down.
Just try to cheer you up.
Through, guys. Alright, I'll get everyone to take a look up top. we know where it is.
Probably. Check this out. No. They cost millions of dollars.
Yeah. Then there's other signs.
Guys, you said take photos on the platform.
Into it, but a lot of solution pipes that show up, which are really good. And that's essentially what that hole was. Not down.
My cup
We're going to
cake.
go see the other end of that.
Guys, can you be conscientious and
Well, that's the thing, 1957 is actually really late. Yeah, in cave discoveries. Something like the late cave discoveries. Okay. So, yeah, I think for them to have found something this large, yeah, I think we'd follow the bush. Yeah.
What are you dripping here?
They always make it awkward. Alright, so if everyone wants to take a look over to, I don't want to shine my torch in your eyes, just over this area. Does anyone recognise that formation? The picture upstairs, yeah? Yeah, where the guy was at the boat, he was just below that area, that's known as the organ pipes. And in just a moment, if it hasn't already, a laser light will pop up at the bottom, a red laser. Once you have a look, guys, just shuffle to the back and maybe get the crew at the back here to go up and have a look. That line actually indicates where the water was when they first entered the cave. Okay, so if you can't see it at the back, feel free to head up and have a look. So 1957 to 1959, that was the height of the water. So they actually explored this entire area via that little raft, okay? Now, between 1989 and 1993, the water went from the height of that laser light to absolutely nothing. Climate change is our biggest theory on that one. Right, we're not getting the same kind of rainfall patterns that we used to get back in the day. There's a lot of reasons why that water table may have actually dropped. We've got a lot of agricultural use of land down in this area, so water is just being drained out. a lot of things that we've sort of been doing a lot of research into. Now, the experts believe that the water is now at least 10 metres below the ground level below our feet here. So they don't think that is ever going to rise again. In the last million years, that water table has come up and down repeatedly, you know, as times change. The experts to say that they don't think it's ever going to rise again is pretty terrifying. You know, it's nothing we can really change. It's a bit devastating for things like our stygofauna, the little microscopic creatures that used to live in the water here. They are all extinct. Things like that, it does affect quite a lot. Now, in terms of the water that comes through the ceiling here, we do have very small parts of Jewel Cave that are still active. We're seeing them dripping now and again, but the majority of it has ceased. And the reason for that as well, again, that rainfall level isn't too high. We would need between 50 to 60 mil a day over a winter to see anything penetrate through. The Indigenous people used to do a lot of back burning, a lot of burn-offs in the area to keep that vegetation quite low in case of fires and things like that. We don't follow those practices. Okay, so the vegetation directly above the cave here is extremely dense. If anyone's gone and done the bushwalk up top, feel free to do that after. It's only about 15 minutes. You'll see what I mean. It's very, very dense vegetation, and that water just cannot penetrate through properly. Okay, so there's a lot of reasons why it could have been affected, but this is what we have now. So the silver lining is we can actually walk through here instead of having to put you all on a raft. And yeah, we get to see a different part of the cave that they never did at the beginning. Now, from where I'm standing, if you all kind of want to rotate through and take a little squat down and look down the back there, I'll go to the back because I've seen it before. All the way down. For the people who are here, just calm down. Is it brittle? Really brittle? Or? Yeah, it is. It's kind of like not much stronger than your fingernails, actually. Okay. Yeah. It's not very, very hard.
I'm gonna go down there.
Here, mate. Looks like a creature coming down. Maybe that's Voldemort. You reckon? Yeah. Don't drag your feet, maybe. Alright, we found it.
There you go.
If you haven't had a chance, do touch this red crystal. Okay, it is actually from this cavern that we're inside of. It was found just over underneath this section, and they decided for it to be our sacrificial stone. Alright, I'm going to squeeze through here, guys, sorry. Just so you can actually see what it looks like. So you can see some of the black marks in here. That's just from those oils and minerals in our skin from repeatedly touching it. So that's what would happen to the cave. You might have seen a few black spots coming through there where people have rubbed their heads a few times. But that's what we're looking at. Now, they carbon dated this piece back to be about 380,000 years old. Really cool, hey? Yeah, feel free to touch that one. And now again, I'm going to be awkward and come through here. So you make it so hard to put the lights in these weird spots. Now this is known as Camel Cavern. It's named after that bit over here. They thought he looked like a camel. Oh, everyone see that? I think it looks like a turkey, but that's me. Now, Camel Cavern is basically the lower bottom section of the cave, and this is kind of the end part. And it is a smaller cavern. However, you've got a lot of those formations that we've talked about today in one small space. Right, so you've got all of that flowstone coming down on all the side walls you can see around. You've got a few nice shawls as well. There's some shawls just up here hanging from the roof. You've got some shear in this section. Now this platform we named Carry Platform, and we actually called it after this little area here. You see it looks a little bit like carry trees, brown up forest, jellyfish if you're into that. Some people see cauliflower, that's fine as well. But that's what we call Carry Platform right where you're standing. Now this formation has been coming off that top dripping section for a few 100,000 years. Okay, now the cave that you are standing inside of is at least 1 million years old. Quite young for cave systems. They can be billions of years old around the world, but our limestone caves along this coastline are only about 1 million. Okay. Now within that you've got formations that started to occur about 1 to 200,000 years after the cave was formed itself, and that's what we're looking at here, just thousands of years of constant dripping. So I'll get you to turn around to your left hand side and we'll take a look at that stalagmite from here. So this is known as the totem pole, this guy. Pretty impressive stalagmite. We estimate him to be about 23 tonne. So that's about 23 elephants just sitting there, quite heavy. And if this were still continuing to drip off the very top stalactite there, that would join together as one large column there. Okay, so I will talk a little bit more about how this cave isn't so active anymore a bit further on. I will touch on that in some detail. But if you take a turn around to your left again, and because we are a large group, we'll have to just take it in turns. So go up and take a look. Once you've had a look, move to the back. Down where you're looking, guys, is known as the frozen waterfall. That is flowstone. So it has been flowing over top of itself for thousands of years. Little drip by little drip. There could have been a harder substance underneath that was formed over top of originally.
Oops, show it.
And that specific spot down there, that frozen waterfall, could Stephanie's water actually grabbed her husband's leg, her wedding dress, and went quite huge in that. The only wedding we've had in the cave is in the long probably now. Take a look, grab some photos. After you do, I'm going to get, I'll open up the chamber here and you guys can start to make your way down to the next platform as well. Take a tiny step over a bit steeper. So once you've had a look at the frozen waterfall, guys, keep heading down to the next platform. Sorry? So from where that platform was, about 12 metres. You'll see some as you go.
Well, she might turn some on. They might turn them on as we go.
Very filtered, very filtered. And that's huge. So that can vary depending on how dense the limestone is. Yes. The water itself, if it were to drip, it's basically the acidity level of a cup of tea. You actually drink it. And it would follow different routes as well, come through, and that's how you start to get different layers. You would have one half create one formation, probably start out second areas of rainfall coming through. And that's why some create larger formations because they had more active dripping than other areas as well. These formations down here are super cool. I'll explain how they work. They're a little bit different. Most of it is from that dripping though, except for this area.
I just finished my father tried to get me to geology.
Yeah. That's so cool.
we had to put dry suits on and stuff for snorkeling freezing cold water.
They're sinkholes. This could quite easily turn into a sinkhole.
Apologise, this platform's a little bit smaller.
That's right.
So what do we think this all looks like up on the roof here? On the sidewalk. Anyone?
Oh.
Oh, I heard a few corals there. Yeah, we think coral as well. Here is known as Flat Rock Cavern. You'll see there's some markers on the left-hand side. They are basically a footpath for any speleologists, researchers, scientists that do come down to explore. They have to stick to that pathway to the end. At the very end there is a footprint of a thylacine. Anyone know what a thylacine is? Tassie tiger, yeah. So the actual fossil of a Tasmanian tiger was found about where that light is down the end there. He now sits in the West Australian Museum if you do want to go take a look at him.
The bones run from the fossil.
Yes, yeah. So they're in the Western Australian Museum. Yeah. So the one upstairs is just a replica, okay, for anyone who didn't see that. We did actually used to have it sitting inside on this platform, but because of that humidity level, we couldn't continue to keep it in a case, just sitting here sort of thing. So from here, guys, I'm going to turn some lights on. So if you want to get some photos, pretty photos, it's kind of like a slow romantic fireworks. I'll just stay quiet. Feel free to just enjoy and try to imagine how this would have looked if there was actually still water in them. It is. Alright, so that's our fireworks display inside the cave. Now this next area I'm going to walk first, so you guys can follow me. I just need everyone to listen because it's a bit of a sort of self-guided walk through this area, okay? I'm going to go to the next platform, but you guys will overtake me once you get to the next platform. So from here, we're going to follow along this footpath. You're going to walk past some of these beautiful big columns on your right-hand side that have snapped, quite interesting to see, which would have been from water erosion or movement underneath. Going to head down. You'll see some pendulites, which are at the end there. Pendulites are known as basically big blobs at the end of a very, very fine straw. Each of them are about 2.5 kilos. You'll be impressed by those when you go past. So have a little look at the pendulite. So we call this cave coral, guys. We're super creative with our names. Now this is formed a number of different ways. If you use that imagination, you would have been underwater at some point in the last few 100,000 years. So that water table below our feet was a lot higher, and it would have been pretty much about where our head height is. Now, as the little droplets of water and calcite have come down off the ceiling and off the walls, drips onto the top surface of that water layer, it gets splashed back. So you get these little bits of splash back onto the side walls, and it creates these little bits of cave coral. It can also occur because of some of the porousness that's in the limestone, so it starts to seep through in little bubbles, and that's how you get that bubbling effect. And some of it can actually be developed because of the humidity that's inside the cave. So we have about 95% humidity in here all year round. Now it doesn't really feel like it because we're only at about 16 degrees, and that never really changes either. So that's our cave coral. If you take a look around to your left, some of you might have spotted it already up here. So that is known as our bacon rasher shawl.
I hope everyone's had lunch. Now, shoals are formed because of that slope that's on the side wall. It can be on a ceiling or anything like that. And as the little droplet of water is coming down, it's running along on that angle. And each time it runs down on the slope, it deposits that calcite like that. And then the next slide, this, and then the next bit. And it just creates layers over top of itself. Very, very fine, almost paper thin. So you get this beautiful sheet of calcite. And then the colouring that started to come through, if I show my torch, you'll see what I mean. That is all known as tannins. Okay, so it's like when you've got your tea and you're steeping your tea bag and you start to get colours come through into the water. That's essentially what tannins are and what's happened here, minus the tea bag. Okay, there would be a certain type of tree or vegetation straight above that has been filtering these colours through over thousands of years. Could be carry trees, marry trees, not too sure, but you see different tannins depending on which area and which cave you're in. All right, so just squeeze past you and get my lights there.
yeah, sure, yeah.
Now, we're not the deepest cave in the region. I know it feels like we're pretty far down and this cavern is massive. This is only about 30 metres between here and the ceiling, which is still quite a lot. You'd actually fit Cape Lewin Lighthouse in here. Has anyone been there?
What?
Down towards Augusta?
What?
If you know the size of that lighthouse, probably not directly here, but just across like that, it would fit inside this cavern. We then have that 12 metres again on top of our heads of pure limestone. Okay, so the deepest cave, if you want to go to the deepest cave in the region, go to Lake Cave, which is just up the road. That's about double the depth. Those who've been there know how many stairs down that is. Okay, so from here, if you'd like to start to filter your way through to the next platform, it's a bit low, so just be really mindful of your heads and the formations. Take a look to your left on the way through and you'll see that beautiful frozen waterfall from below.
I assume that because it was all underwater, there's also fossils being found of sea life creatures that have...
Yeah. We'll talk about that on the next one. Actually, it's there were quite a few found. Yeah, which is exciting.
How many platforms we got? One more?
No, it's about 3 more platforms.
3 more? Oh,
Yep. Keeps going.
I think it's going. Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people think it finishes about here.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more.
Because you can't hear, you know. Yeah.
Ready? Yeah.
To be fair, history is a bit different than mathematics. Yeah, that's right. That's true. Eventually.
This one, yeah, it's just tannins.
How's it feel, man?
It's all straight up, doesn't it?
Yeah, we got it. You just got to follow one person at a time.
Oh really? Yeah. Did you hear that? They call it the cave ghost. Looks like the Halloween ghost. Yeah. He's a friendly ghost.
Look at that. There. Up there.
See the cave ghost? This one?
That one? That big white one? See there?
Looks like.
Oh.
This is weird.
Isn't it weird? It's probably so that we don't catch them accidentally, like you just pointed.
A bit closer there.
Yep. Whoa.
Oh, Mum. Oh, wow, look, more waterfall.
Yeah, it's flowstone.
Here we go. Yeah, we keep going. There are rocks which have been swept by the waterfall.
Yeah. Or bits, little chunks that have broken off.
Look how low the ceiling is.
Yeah, it looks like it's cracked.
Mommy, I want to show you something.